You check your portfolio. It looks responsible, diversified, stable, nothing extreme. No wild bets, no risky moves. You tell yourself you're doing it right. Because this is what smart people do, right? They play it safe. They avoid losing money. They protect what they've built. But something doesn't feel right. The numbers are going up, slowly. Your income is steady. Your life looks stable from the outside. So why does it feel like you're not getting anywhere? Why does it feel like time is passing faster than your money is growing? And here's the uncomfortable part. What if the very investments that make you feel safe are the ones quietly locking you into a life you can't escape? Not crashing, not failing, just never breaking free. And if that's true, then what are you actually building? 10. The comfortable savings account. It starts simple. You keep your money in a savings account. It earns interest. It's liquid, accessible, safe, no risk, no volatility. You sleep well, because nothing bad can happen to it. But here's what changes. Nothing. That's the problem. Your money isn't growing. It's just sitting, and you tell yourself that's discipline. But something breaks here, because while your money stays still, everything else moves. Prices rise, opportunities pass, time compounds against you, and slowly, invisibly, your purchasing power shrinks. Not dramatically, just enough that you don't notice. Until one day, you realize the life you thought you were preserving got more expensive, and your money didn't keep up. So you saved, you avoided risk. You did everything right. Then why does it feel like you're falling behind? And if this is the safest option, why does it feel like it's costing you the most? 9. Fixed deposits that feel like progress. You lock your money away. 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. The interest rate looks decent, guaranteed returns, predictable outcomes. It feels like discipline, like commitment, like you're finally taking money seriously. But here's where it gets dangerous. You've traded flexibility for certainty, and certainty feels good, until reality changes. Because life doesn't stay fixed. Inflation doesn't stay fixed. Opportunities don't wait for maturity dates. But your money? It's locked, frozen, unavailable. And here's the deeper problem. You start thinking in fixed returns. You stop looking for growth. You stop questioning whether your money could be doing more. You just wait, and wait, and wait. And that waiting feels responsible. Until you realize time is the one thing you can't lock in. So while your money sits still, your future keeps moving forward without it. And now the question changes. Are you protecting your money, or are you protecting yourself from making real decisions? Number 8. Government bonds that feel untouchable. This one feels smarter, safer than stocks. Backed by the government, low risk, steady income. It sounds like what mature investors do, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because it reinforces something subtle. The belief that safety equals progress. But pause for a second. What is your goal? Not stability, not preservation, freedom. And bonds don't create freedom. They maintain stability. And those are not the same thing, because stability keeps you where you are. Freedom moves you somewhere else. But something else happens here. You start optimizing for not losing, instead of optimizing for actually winning. And that shift is quiet. You don't notice it, but it changes everything. Because now, you're not building wealth. You're defending a position. And that position, it never moves far enough to change your life. So you stay invested. You stay patient. You stay safe. But you never cross the line where money starts working harder than you do. And if that never happens, what was the point of playing safe in the first place? 7. Dividend stocks that feel like income. This one feels powerful. You're getting paid, cash flow, passive income, money hitting your account regularly. It feels like progress, like you're building something real. But here's the illusion. You're focusing on income instead of growth. And that feels smart until you zoom out. Because high dividends often come with slower growth. And slow growth compounds into something dangerous. Time loss. Years pass. Your income increases slightly, but your capital doesn't expand meaningfully. And without capital expansion, your future ceiling stays low. But here's the deeper trap. You start thinking you've made it because money is coming in, even if it's not enough, even if it never will be. And that belief locks you in place. Because now you're not asking, how do I grow this aggressively? You're asking, how do I maintain this? And that's where it shifts, from building wealth to managing limitations. So now ask yourself, are you building a system that scales, or one that just pays you enough to stay comfortable? 6. Real estate that feels stable. A property, a physical asset, something you can see, touch, control. It feels real. Unlike stocks, unlike digital numbers on a screen, this is tangible, and that tangibility creates a powerful illusion. Certainty, because if you can see it, it must be safe, right? But something breaks under the surface. Maintenance, vacancy, market cycles, hidden costs that don't show up in your original calculation. And here's where it shifts. You're not just an investor anymore. You're responsible for tenants, for repairs, for things you didn't plan for. And slowly, your investment becomes a commitment, then a burden, then something you can't easily exit. But the real problem isn't the property. It's what it does to your thinking. It makes you believe you've secured your future. So you stop searching, stop questioning, stop evolving, because you think you've already found the answer. But what if you didn't? What if you just chose something that feels stable, instead of something that actually moves you forward? Number 5, blue chip stocks that feel bulletproof. You've heard the names. Big companies, decades of history, strong balance sheets. Everyone trusts them, so you invest. Because this is what serious investors do. No speculation, no hype, just solid companies. And that sounds right. Until you look closer. Because size creates stability, but it also creates inertia. And inertia slows growth. And slow growth, over long periods, becomes opportunity cost. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. You start believing these companies are safe forever, that they can't fail, can't decline, can't become irrelevant. And that belief removes your awareness. You stop paying attention. You stop questioning your positions. You just hold, because it feels correct. But history doesn't protect the future, and stability doesn't guarantee growth. And the moment you confuse the two, you stop adapting, and that's when safe becomes dangerous. Number 4, index funds that feel effortless. This is the modern answer. Just buy the market. Low fees, diversified, set it and forget it. It's almost perfect. And that's exactly why it's so convincing. Because it removes effort, removes decision-making, removes stress. But here's what it also removes: awareness. You stop thinking about what you own, why you own it, what it's actually doing. You just trust the system. And over time, you disconnect from your own money. But the deeper issue isn't performance. It's identity. Because now, you're not an investor. You're a participant. You're following, not building. And that feels fine. Until you realize something uncomfortable. You don't control the outcome. You're just along for the ride. And if the ride slows down, or stalls, or underperforms your timeline, there's nothing you can do. Because you never built the ability to think independently. So now the question becomes, did you simplify your strategy, or did you outsource your responsibility? 3, holding cash, waiting for the right time. This one feels intelligent. You're being patient, disciplined, strategic. You're waiting for the opportunity, the dip, the perfect entry. And that sounds smart, until time starts passing. Weeks, months, years. And the opportunity never feels right enough. Because here's the truth. There is no perfect moment, only decisions. But waiting feels safer than acting. Because acting exposes you to risk, to regret, to being wrong. So you wait. And that waiting feels like control. But it's not. It's avoidance. And slowly, your money sits, unused, uncompounded, while the market moves without you. And then something painful happens. You look back and realize the opportunity was there. Multiple times, you just didn't take it, because you were waiting to feel certain. But certainty never comes. And now, you didn't lose money, but you lost time. And that's worse. This was never about safety. It's about control. The illusion that you can avoid risk, avoid mistakes, avoid discomfort, and still move forward. But you can't. Because every safe decision you've made wasn't about growing. It was about protecting who you are right now. The version of you that fears loss more than it desires freedom. And that version keeps choosing comfort again and again and again. So ask yourself, are your investments actually safe? Or are they just protecting your current identity? 2, the diversified portfolio that hides stagnation. You spread your money, different assets, different sectors, different strategies. It looks balanced, responsible, optimized. But here's what's really happening. You've diluted your potential, because diversification protects against loss, but it also limits upside. And when everything is averaged, nothing stands out, nothing accelerates, nothing changes your life. And here's the deeper problem. It hides underperformance, because no single investment looks bad. But the overall result is mediocrity. And mediocrity feels safe, because it doesn't hurt. but it also doesn't move you forward. So you stay diversified. You stay balanced. You stay stuck. And now the question becomes, are you reducing risk? Or are you reducing the chance of ever breaking out? Or one, the life strategy that feels financially responsible. This isn't an investment. It's the system behind all of them. Work, earn, save, invest safely, repeat. It's the blueprint you've been following. And it feels correct. Because everyone else is doing it. But here's the final truth. This system isn't designed to make you free. It's designed to make you stable. And stability isn't the same as freedom. Because stability requires consistency, predictability, control. But freedom requires something else. Growth, risk, acceleration. And that's what you've been avoiding. Not because you're careless, but because you've been taught to be careful. And that carefulness has shaped every decision you've made, every investment, every move, every delay. Until one day, you look at your life and realize something heavy. You didn't build freedom. You built a system that only works if nothing goes wrong. So now we go back to the beginning. You check your portfolio. It still looks safe, still looks responsible. Nothing has changed, except one thing. You see it differently now, because the question was never, is this safe? The question was, what is this actually building? And if the answer is, stability without freedom, growth without acceleration, progress that never compounds into escape, then something is off. But this isn't the worst part, because there's a deeper layer most people never see. The mistakes that don't just slow you down, but actively cost you tens of thousands of dollars, while feeling completely normal. And once you see those, you can't unsee them. Watch this next. Top 10 credit card mistakes costing you $10,000 plus, because that's where the real damage begins.